Father Zeus, I pray to thee. I believe that I am beginning to understand the minds of mortals. Thus far, I have learned that they know not the truth about most things, and when they do, they pass it off as fiction. They pride themselves on their sentience and innovation, but they refuse to recognize clear facts. Worst of all, when they're wrong, they don't admit that they made a mistake, but rather stand adamantly in defense of their claim. Mortals are they are stubborn and useless creatures, and I refuse to change my mind about them. Why don't you just admit that I'm right and let me come home for Hades' sake? Zeus's sake. Not that I had much of a choice, seeing as I've run out of nectar and ambrosia again, and still have nothing to show for it, but I took Alex's advice and started attending a mortal history class. What a laughable subject. Mortals claim to know things about history, but they gloss over all of the good stuff. Once you get out of the classics, nobody even worries about the gods anymore. I mean, there are always people who study Homer and Hesiod and even Ovid as literature, but not as truth. They were among the few human prophets who actually knew how things truly were. And there are little pockets of people who still believe in us, of course, which keeps us from disappearing completely, but the majority of society is too willfully ignorant to listen to them. Mortals stop worrying about us as soon as they enter into modern history, and then they just focus on human politics and wars and let us constantly be referred to as myths. That's the problem with being born in the Middle Ages. All anybody in the West cared about was the Christian church. This is all those blasted Romans' fault. They had so much control over popular belief. If they hadn't turned to Christianity and stopped worshiping my family, we might still get some recognition outside of storybooks. But no. Damn Constantine. At any rate, this history course is certainly giving me some insight into the strange minds of humans. I mean, look at the American Revolution. What an easy thing it would have been for those Americans to just pray to Poseidon once in a while, get the favor that they needed to sink the British ships before they even showed up on the American shores. But such a thing would have been far too easy, and they were too caught up in their freedom of religion to actually seek divine intervention. Most human wars can actually be boiled down to fairly simple Olympian disputes. Do they not remember the Trojans? They refused to see clear signs right in front of them. Showdowns between Ares and Athena. My mother in a rage over my father's latest fling. One of my personal favorites is the notion that the Turks had anything to do with the fall of the Byzantine Empire. Let's just say that Aphrodite was in one of her human phases and, well, she doesn't take rejection lightly. I could literally go on for decades about how little mortals understand, but I grow weary of the subject. I'm not sure what Alex thinks I'm going to gain from this history course other than seeing all of the ways that mortals are wrong.
So, how's history class going?